Probably there you have talked to a lot of unhappy male executives who feel alone because they can't find people to hand the reins to. Hey leaders, welcome back. This is Ledge. I'm really excited to welcome J.H. Tepley to the show today. Jay is an author, entrepreneur, international speaker, and spiritual mentor. She describes herself as a lifelong geek and a research aficionado, and she offers world-class spiritual training for male entrepreneurs to help them create dream meaningful reality, turbocharge their success, and leave an epic legacy that's in alignment with their soul's path. And of course, today I'm going to ask all kinds of things about that. Her New Era Superhero program has shown many men the road to personal power, fulfillment, and my favorite, increased revenue along the way. And she spent the last 20 years working in this space. So, Jay, I want to talk to you all about your work. You write books, you do lightsaber training, which I think is super amazing because we have all kinds of Star Wars nerds around here. And I think if I could draw a straight line through almost every executive guest that I've talked to, it's about hiring great people and making a great team, which gets you to the question of how do I even make sure that the people I'm surrounding myself with have that discernment and those sets of heuristics that are worth listening to. I would guess that comes up a lot. Probably there you have talked to a lot of unhappy male executives who feel alone because they can't find people to hand the reins to.
Yes. This actually comes from a lack of mindfulness. So there is another reason why you should invest in your spiritual development is because it allows you to develop your discernment and mindfulness. So in a really simple layman terms, I would say, look for people whose values are aligned with yours. So their viewpoints may be different, their experiences may be different, but if they have the same kind of values, so for example, if your main value is loyalty, don't hire shady people. So that's pretty obvious, right? But many people actually don't look closely at who they choose to work with. And so instead, they just hire whoever comes along and sounds good. And here is another trap for many executives, because anyone can learn, pretty much anyone can learn certain words, certain phrases, answers to certain questions and sound good. But it doesn't mean that they are the right people for the job. So instead of asking them where you're going to be in 5 years and all of that, ask them what are the main values in their lives. What do they follow as their main priorities? And from that, you will actually learn a lot more about those people. Because if someone's main priority is to get the job done, you will know that their work ethic is probably really good. And their discipline is probably really good. So you don't need to ask them about that. You can deduct it when you listen to them properly, intently, mindfully. And they will just reveal, you know what they say, people will tell you everything you want to know if you just listen. So developing that skill of being a good listener and putting your expectations aside, because it's super important. Sometimes we look at someone and it can be an interviewee, or it can be a potential business partner or a romantic partner, and we just want to believe. And this is where most bad things happen in both personal relationships and in business. Because if you project onto that person your expectations and then they don't fulfill them, obviously, you feel let down. And if they occupy an important position in your company, then it can be even dangerous in many respects. And it can be very costly as well. So actually, part of my training is about that. It's about being able to see people for who they really are. And it's not called reading, by the way. It's just based on mindfulness and based on understanding the human patterns. So I would say without any training, just find out what their true values are by asking them questions that would lead them to revealing those values to you, and don't ask directly, because people can lie and pretend. But if you say, well, okay, I would like to find out what would you do in this situation, and just make something up or use something from your past experience, and just give them a few scenarios like that. See how they answer. Look at their body language. Look at their tone of voice. Because quite often, not always, but one of the giveaways is that when people are not sure, when they're pretending something, their pitch of voice is going to go higher, like noticeably higher. So just watch for little things like that, and you would be way ahead of your competition. So remember when you introduced me, you said, my training helps to increase revenue. It does, because it allows you to become a more effective and efficient version of you, both in your personal life and in business.
Excellent. I love that. Well, great insights. And I resonate with some of my own former projections on positive things that people actually didn't have. So I know I have personally experienced the great deal of lost money on that particular issue. So I absolutely resonate with that. Before I run out of time, I wanted to have you talk about lightsaber training, just because, let's face it, we're all a bunch of Star Wars nerds, and that's super fun. So, yeah.
All right, love to hear that. So yes, I do lightsaber choreography. I appeared on BBC One and The Guardian and many other outlets because of my charity work. So before the dark times, I run a lightsaber and meditation club in London, and we had
powering up the lightsaber.
We had
yeah.
Yeah, we had this kind of things. Can't really swing it here, but we had this kind of things to play with, and the force was strong with us at all times. And I think it's really important for someone to be able to express not just their hobby, but because it's kind of a martial art, you get to express your masculinity in that way. And I can't even describe in words how much difference it used to make for the guys. You know, there is a saying, give a man a sword and something will wake up in his heart. Like there is the beast, the fire he didn't even know about will wake up in him. And so being able to meditate and train this way, because it does require physical stamina, it does require focus and concentration and balance, but at the same time it's just so much fun. It's so cool. If you look at my social media, you'll find lots of pictures of me with a lightsaber. They actually, because of my training, some people refer to me as a real life Jedi because of that. So yeah, and actually, funnily enough, it's partially true, because the force is real. The force is the energy, that quantum energy, quantum soup that we exist in. And it is conscious, and you can direct it. There have been loads and loads of scientific proof that show you that this is the case. And so you as a human being, as a man, as a part of this universe, actually is wired to tap into that power and to use the force. And this is why, remember I mentioned before with CEOs and billionaires who felt that something is missing from their lives. The reason why people love Star Wars so much is not because of the amazing script, I want to assure you of that. It's because there is that truth behind the idea that they deeply resonate with. And the truth being that we as people, as human beings, we need that unity with the source of all things, with the force, with the light. And if we tap into it, we become whole, we become powerful and unstoppable. and excited and joyful, and your life just unfolds from there. And because people can sense that subconsciously, they feel really drawn to the idea. But it's like it's a movie, so there is a separation. But luckily, they can take a training like mine and actually go and experience that firsthand. So you don't need to believe, you actually start doing those things that you thought were impossible. And this is why my company is called New Era Superhero, because you actually do become a real life superhero.
And everybody is a Padawan now. So, and for all the Star Trek fans, I'm sorry, but we just we're not going to cover that today. So, and Jay, I wanted to give you a chance to talk about your books, and in particular, I know you have sort of two fork in the road there, as you've got you're actually a fantasy sci-fi writer, right? And as well as the books about your spiritual practice. So, please do that, because I think that'd be fun.
Absolutely. So I write books about how you can train your mind and become an elite version of you, step by step, in bullet points. This is me. But I also have a book that is an epic fantasy space saga. And this is the book in question, by the way.
Lightwatch Chronicles.
Lightwatch. That's right. And it's a very different book. So it's not just a normal fantasy book you would read. It's the kind of book that transforms your consciousness. It allows you to understand yourself on a deeper level, understand the universe better, your place in it, and how to use the power of your mind, again, in real terms. And if you choose so, you can step and kind of live in the reality of the book, because what you learn from it will stay with you, will improve your life on many aspects. And so many of my students actually became they almost feel like characters in that book themselves. It's very tricky to explain. I would say read it for yourself and find out. And by the way, there is I'm going to show you something interesting. It's got some nice pictures in there that you can follow. And there is a wonderful company called Be Here that is making it into a dramatized audio series right now. So it's like watching a movie with your eyes closed. Every character has his or her own voice, and they've done such an amazing job. Like, I'm not even biased, I'm being honest. It's incredible. I was geeking out so much when they sent me a sample, and I would say go and check it out, because especially if you haven't done self-development before, or if you've done it but it didn't really work for you, I would say go check out this book. We as human beings are wired to learn through stories. And through this story, you can actually understand yourself better and find out how to align with your own purpose.
Very cool, very cool. I definitely look forward to that. I love consuming audio that way, so super fun. Jay, you have all kinds of social media, so I couldn't possibly mention one. If people are resonating with this and the audience wants to reach out, what's the best way to do that?
You can choose whichever social media platform you prefer at this time of the day. So I am a New Era Superhero on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter. I don't use Twitter much, but I'm still there. I would say the best way...
Her face just dropped when she said Twitter. I don't know, there's a whole story there. But...
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just... so I'm a visual storyteller. And it's just, I prefer Instagram, I prefer YouTube. And if you would like to get in touch with me, there is also a Telegram channel that I have. Guess what it's called? New Era Superhero. And it's free to join. So I would say the best way to reach out would be through Facebook, Instagram, or Telegram. But feel free to use any social media platform of your choice. And my website, of course, which is newerasuperhero.com.
And everybody can become a New Era Superhero. Reach out today.
Absolutely.
Jay, Jay, thank you. This was super interesting. I definitely heard a lot of my own journey in the stories and the frameworks, and my brain is background processing many different little pieces and snippets. So I really appreciate your time coming out. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, it was an absolute pleasure talking to you.